with Maria and welcome to SG Global News. From a new documentary on Blessed Carlo Acutis, the first millennial saint to be, hitting streaming platforms, to a special mass at St. Peter's Choir on 20th anniversary of Pope St. John Paul II's death, we have many stories to cover. Ahead of his canonization on April 27th, a new documentary on Blessed Carlo Acutis titled The Boy from Milan has been released. Produced by the Augustine Institute, the film explores Carlo's life through the testimonies of 3 individuals who knew him personally. The documentary is now available for streaming on the faith-based platform Formed.
A new documentary film on Blessed Carlo Acutis, The Boy from Milan, has been released by the Augustine Institute. The documentary will be the second in the Based on a True Saint series, released on April 2nd on the Faith Formation streaming platform Formed. The documentary includes interviews with 3 people who knew Carlo Acutis personally: his mother, Antonia Salzano Acutis, his high school religion teacher in Milan, Fabrizio Zaggia, and Dr. Mercedes Arguello, Carlo's pediatric oncologist at San Gerardo Hospital in Monza. Emily Mentok, executive producer of The Boy from Milan and co-founder of the production company that worked in partnership with the Augustine Institute, told CNA that Acutis' popularity stems from the fact that he lived in our time, and this gives people hope for believing that they can also achieve holiness. Mentok noted that Carlo Acutis could inspire anyone, but he was a gift especially for the young people of today, exemplifying how anyone can live their life boldly for the Lord and make a difference. She also said that Dr. Arguello, Carlo's oncologist, found strength in his testimony when she received a cancer diagnosis. Known for his deep devotion to the Eucharist and quiet acts of charity, Blessed Carlo's life was a testament to everyday holiness. He will be canonized on Sunday, April 27, 2025, during the Jubilee of Teenagers in Rome, making him the first millennial saint in the Catholic Church.
A group of street preachers in UK are protesting against Rushmore Borough Council attempting to criminalize Christian evangelism in public spaces. The preachers argue that only a small minority of the population is distressed by their evangelistic efforts, while the majority supports the initiative. They also claim that the council has been planning this injunction for the past 2 years. A group of street preachers in Hampshire is protesting against the latest legal attempt by Rushmore Borough Council to criminalize Christian evangelism in public spaces. The injunction proposed by the council, which has since been posed, aims to ban praying, preaching and handing out religious materials in Aldershot and Farnborough town centres, unless individuals have prior permission. The injunction, drafted under anti-social behaviour legislation, carries penalties including fines and up to 2 years in prison. With the intervention of Christian Legal Centre and local politicians, the preachers have succeeded in halting the injunction before it could be enforced. Under the proposed terms, Christians would be banned from praying for individuals without prior consent, handing out religious leaflets or Bibles by hand, and laying hands on people in prayer, even with permission. Street preachers argue that while a small minority may be distressed by evangelization efforts, the majority of the population supports the homeless and vulnerable and peacefully shares the gospel, a tradition long protected in the UK. They say that the council's action disproportionately targets Christian expression and fails to recognize the positive impact of the public ministry. Andrea Williams, Chief Executive of the Christian Legal Centre, called the injunction disproportionate and unlawful, adding that they will challenge any legislation the council tries to bring in attempts to silence and criminalize the Christian faith. The Akitu parade, marking the Assyrian Babylonian New Year on April 1, 2025 in central Duhok, was interrupted when an axe-wielding man attacked the procession, injuring 3 people. Witnesses reported that the attacker charged toward the crowd while shouting Islamic slogans. He struck 3 people with the axe before being subdued by participants and security forces. All 3 victims were immediately hospitalized. The annual Akitu parade, celebrating the Assyrian Babylonian New Year on April 1, 2025 in central Duhok, was disrupted when an axe-wielding man attacked the procession, injuring 3 people, according to witnesses and local officials. The parade, held each year, attracted thousands of Assyrians from Iraq and around the world who marched to Duhok in northern Iraq, waving Assyrian flags and wearing traditional attires. According to the eyewitnesses, the attacker, who has not been officially identified, ran towards the crowd shouting Islamic slogans. He struck 3 people with the axe before being stopped by participants and security forces. According to local security officials, a 17-year-old boy and a 75-year-old woman suffered skull fractures. A member of local security forces who was operating a surveillance drone was also wounded. All 3 were hospitalized immediately. As the injured teenager was rushed to the hospital, some participants wrapped his head in the Assyrian flag. The flag, which was stained in blood, was later raised during the parade and was held high as a symbol of resilience. Videos shared online showed the attacker pinned to the ground, repeatedly shouting, "The Islamic State remains." Ninab Yusuf Thoma, a political bureau member of the Assyrian Democratic Movement, condemned the regional government in northern Iraq, semi-autonomous Kurdish region, and asked Iraqi federal authorities to address the extremist indoctrination. He stated that, quote, "We request both governments to review the religious and education curriculums that plant hate in people's head and encourage ethnic and religious extremism. This was obviously an inhumane terrorist attack," end quote. He also noted that the Assyrian community had been celebrating their New Year, also known as Akitu, in Duhok since 1990s without any incidents of violence, and expressed appreciation for the support of local Kurdish Muslim residents.
11 Christians were killed in an overnight raid on Ruby B2 village, a Christian farming community in Plateau State, Nigeria, allegedly carried out by Fulani militants. The attackers ambushed a wake for an 87-year-old community leader, killing a pregnant woman, her husband, and a 10-year-old girl in a 45-minute rampage that left survivors in shock. The attack has sparked renewed calls for improved security measures as it occurred near Nigerian Army and Operation Safe Haven security posts.
On March 27th, 11 Christians were killed in an overnight raid on the Christian farming community of Ruby B2 village in Plateau State, Nigeria. The attack was allegedly carried out by Fulani militants who have been responsible for a wave of deadly violence in the state over the past few years. According to a report by International Christian Concern, among the victims were a pregnant woman, her husband, and a 10-year-old girl. The gunmen believed to be associated with Fulani militants ambushed a wake held for an 87-year-old community leader. The 45-minute assault devastated the village, leaving survivors in shock. Since the attack, there have been heightened calls for improved security coordination as the incident occurred despite the presence of Nigerian Army and Operation Safe Haven security personnel nearby. The conflict between Muslim Fulani militants and Christian farmers has persisted for over a decade. The Christmas Eve massacre of 2023, in which at least 200 Christians were killed in coordinated raids on 21 Christian villages, remains one of the deadliest attacks in the region. More recently, on Sunday, March 23rd, 3 Christian men were killed in Plateau State. According to Global Christian Relief Organization, nearly 4,000 Christians are killed in Nigeria every year, often more than the rest of the world combined. A 2023 report by the International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law estimates that over 52,000 Christians have been murdered in Nigeria over the past 14 years. Despite severe persecution, Christianity continues to thrive in Nigeria, which has the highest church attendance in the world.
2 Iranian Christian converts, Mahmoud and Mansour Mardani Karaji, have been sentenced to 4 years in prison for deviant propaganda activities contrary to Islam after being arrested at a Christmas gathering over 3 years ago. Their case highlights Iran's ongoing crackdown on religious minorities, with Christian gatherings outside state-approved churches considered a national security threat.
56-year-old Mahmoud Mardani Karaji and his younger brother, 50-year-old Mansoor, have been convicted on charges of deviant propaganda activities contrary to the religion of Islam and sentenced to 4 years in prison. The brothers were arrested at a Christmas gathering over 3 years ago. In addition to their prison sentence, they have been fined 150 million tomans, approximately $1,500, and exiled from their home province for 2 years following their release. Mahmoud and Mansoor were convicted under the amended Article 500 of the Penal Code, which criminalizes propaganda activities against Islam. Residents of Lanjan city in Isfahan province, they were sentenced by Judge Muhammad Ali Abbasi, head of the Revolutionary Court in that city. As part of the verdict, they are also banned from membership in any groups for 5 years after their release. Additionally, they are prohibited from entering their home province of Isfahan for 2 years post-release. The brothers were arrested by security forces while holding a Christmas ceremony in a house church in Foladshahar County, Isfahan province. 2 others were also detained alongside them, but charges against those individuals were later dropped. In Iran, participation in house churches is considered a threat to national security and an illegal religious activity. The government criminalizes conversion from Islam to Christianity, and Christian gatherings outside state-approved churches, especially those conducted in Persian, are viewed as efforts to spread Christianity. The United States Commission on International Religious Freedom has recommended Iran's designation as a country of particular concern. According to its 2025 report, the Iranian clerical regime systematically harasses, intimidates, and targets religious minorities through arbitrary arrests, enforced disappearances, forced business closures, property destruction, and the promotion of hate speech. The report states that at least 21 Christians remain imprisoned in Iran, mostly on politically motivated charges.
A 3-year-old girl, Ziv Nitzan, uncovered a 3,800-year-old Canaanite seal during a family trip to Tel Azeka. While walking with her sisters, Ziv picked up a stone, and upon clearing the sand from it, it was revealed as an ancient scarab-shaped seal. The Nitzan family from Moshev Ramot Meir was praised for quickly reporting the discovery, and the young girl was honored with a certificate of appreciation from the Antiquities Authority.
A 3.5-year-old girl discovered a 3,800-year-old Canaanite seal during a family trip to Tel Azeka near Beit Shemesh in central Israel. According to an article by All Israel News, the discovery happened when the little girl, Ziv Nitzan, picked up a stone while walking with her sisters and removed the sand covering it, revealing an ancient seal in the form of a scarab. Scarab seals are small objects that originated in ancient Egypt and are shaped like dung beetles regarded as sacred by ancient Egyptians. That's when the family realized they had stumbled on an archaeological discovery and quickly informed the Israel Antiquities Authority. The Nitzan family from Moshev Ramot Meir was commended for promptly reporting the discovery, and the little girl was presented with a certificate of appreciation by the Antiquities Authority. According to Dr. Daphna Bentor, the scarabs served both as seals and amulets and belonged to the Middle Bronze Age. Several artifacts from ancient Egyptian and Canaanite culture have already been discovered in the area. Tel Azeka, the place where the discovery was made, had once been part of a thriving city during the Middle and Late Bronze Ages. The site is also known as a significant location in the biblical account of the battle between David and Goliath, which happened in the nearby Elah Valley, as mentioned in the book of Samuel.
Marking the 20th anniversary of Saint Pope John Paul II's death, a special Mass will be held at St. Peter's Basilica on April 2, 2025. The Mass, led by Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the Vatican Secretary of State, will also be attended by Cardinal Stanislaw Dziwisz, the former personal secretary of Saint Pope John Paul II. The commemorative Mass will start at 3 p.m. and is open to all faithful with no pass required. After the Mass, a prayer vigil will be held in St. Peter's Square at 9 p.m.
To mark the 20th century of Saint Pope John Paul II's death, a special Mass will be celebrated at St. Peter's Basilica. The ceremony, which will be presided over by Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the Vatican Secretary of State, will also be attended by Cardinal Stanislaw Dziwisz, the former personal secretary of St. John Paul II. The commemorative Mass will take place at 3 p.m. and is open to all faithful without the need for a pass. Following the Mass, a prayer vigil will be held at St. Peter's Square at 9 p.m. The vigil will include prayers in both Polish and Italian and will be led by Monsignor Tadeusz Wójda, President of the Polish Bishops' Conference. Monsignor will also concelebrate the evening liturgy. Pope Francis on February 12th sent his blessings to all those attending the 20th anniversary celebrations of Pope St. John Paul II. Cardinal Baldassare Reina, Vicar General of the Diocese of Rome, also extended an invitation to all priests, permanent deacons, religious, members of movements and communities, and all the faithful of the Diocese of Rome to participate in the events. He emphasized that this would be the time of thanksgiving to the Lord for the great gift of St. John Paul II's life and his pastoral service.
That's all for today. Until we meet again, God bless and thank you.